hand-picked properties to curated local experiences, we craft personalized journeys. Our marketing reaches you with the perfect options, matching your unique travel style. With Dream Vacations and Rentals by PMI, your perfect getaway is just a click away. Visit our website to book your dream vacation today and experience the PMI difference.
All right, welcome, my beautiful people, to STR News Digest, the podcast where we go over the latest updates in short-term rentals, the travel industry, and more importantly, the business of travel. Today, we're going to dive into some major headlines shaping the world of travel vacation rentals, from Airbnb's market share gain to some travel hacks for 2025. So I'm trying to get this thing logged in. I am up in Georgia, and we are going through some severe thunderstorms. And because my Wi-Fi is satellite, we're having a little bit of a delay, and I want to see if I can get this on. Give me a quick second here before we dive right in. Give me 2 minutes here. All right, that will not work. Again, I think it's just mainly because the Wi-Fi is dead because of the storm. If you have any issues seeing me, please leave me a comment. Or we have issues with the Wi-Fi and the connectivity, let me know. But if not, let's just dive right in. And first thing I want to talk about is going to be Airbnb's market share. So I just read a report done by Skift. Again, if you're not familiar with Skift, it is a organization that's solely focused on tourism and travel, and they do a lot of studies. They write a lot of great reports. So if you're in the industry, I highly recommend you become a member so you can stay up to date. Or if you don't want to become a member and pay them, then just subscribe to this channel, because I basically give you all the latest news every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. We always go live. So let's talk about what they mean by market share. So in this report, they noticed that Airbnb has increased its demand among travelers. And what they saw was that travelers were more prone to book a short-term rental than they were to book a hotel. In addition to that, they also saw that Airbnb gap between other OTAs increased, specifically among Vrbo. Now, if you're a football fan, you probably noticed a lot of Vrbo commercials during the football season. You know, Expedia, who owns Vrbo, has been putting in a lot of money in their platform, and they have seen an increase in their market share. They were actually getting very close to Airbnb, but now, based on Q4 and Q1, it looks like Airbnb has once again separated itself from the other OTAs. So if I've said this before, I personally have a love-hate relationship with Airbnb, but it is something that we, one quick second, because I just realized I don't even know if my audio is connected. Or it is. And I'm sorry that I did not have my mic close to me. But anyways, going back to what I was saying, I have a love-hate relationship with Airbnb. But if you're in this industry, you have to have your properties on that platform, because it is definitely separating itself. And from the very beginning of the birth of Airbnb, it really has changed the landscape of short-term rentals. As I mentioned before, I've been doing this a long time. Been renting my properties as short-term rentals before Airbnb existed. Back then, we used to call it seasonal rentals. and we would post our properties on and market our properties to snowbirds. Had a lot of success with those short-term rentals. But as the word says, seasonal, it used to be seasonal. Now with Airbnb, it is a full-time thing. Here's another thing that's very important about this report is that it shows that the demand for short-term rental is still there. Now, there's a lot of competitions. I said that before. So as a short-term rental operator, you have to understand that A, the demand is there, B, that there's a lot of competition, and as a result, you need to do C, which is make sure you are always optimized, you're marketing your property, so that you can stay viable in this industry. So let me ask you as a listener, those of you that are watching, do you prefer when traveling, when traveling, do you prefer staying at a short-term rental or staying in a hotel? I can tell you that me personally, it depends on the length of stay. If I'm going to travel for just a day or two, maybe 3 days, I'm going to stay at a hotel, especially if I'm traveling by myself. And it's just an efficiency thing. But if I'm staying for a week or longer, or if I'm traveling with a group of people, by far my number one preferred method is a short-term rental. Now, some of you are going to say, well, you're in the business. Of course, you're going to prefer that. But not necessarily true, because I preferred it even before this was a thing. Again, there's a couple of things that I need and that I want and that I usually get from a short-term rental. And that is, for example, if I'm staying for a week or longer, those of you that know me, those of you that follow the channel, you know I only travel with a backpack. So I need laundry facility. So I want a washer and dryer in my unit so that I don't have to overpack when I travel. So I also need a workstation, a private workstation, because most of my work is done, remote. So I need that. So I get those perks from a short-term rental that I don't necessarily get from a hotel. So it really depends. So tell me in the comments if you prefer short-term rentals, or what is your requirement, whether or not you're going to stay in a hotel or a short-term rental. Now, let's move on to the next story. I think the next story is very interesting. I'm going to talk about TravelPerk. Now, TravelPerk has raised an astonishingly high amount of money in the last 2 quarters. So they have raised over $200 million. And the question is, or the question that I ask myself is, why? So if you're not familiar with TravelPerk, let me give you a quick overview of who they are and what exactly are they about. Now, TravelPerk is a business travel platform. They started in 2015, but they really didn't gain traction until just recently, right? And just to give you an overview of some of their services and some of their features, they provide a comprehensive booking platform. TravelPerk provides access to a vast inventory of flights, hotels, trains, car rentals, and you can book them all on their platform. Now, what does that sound like, right? Again, if you follow this channel, I've been talking about this. Most OTAs today want to go vertical. They want that Amazon experience. They want to be that one-stop shop. TravelPerk has been that since the beginning, since 2015. Airbnb is looking to do that. I mentioned Uber. We are doing that. Hence why we have the travel agency. We want to be a one-stop shop. Well, they're the one-stop shop for business travelers. They also have an integrated travel policy, which companies. So, for example, if you're a company and part of your business is to travel, and you have employees that are constantly traveling, what TravelPerk does is it integrates your system into their platform, which allows here's what that allows. It allows your policies and procedures to be implemented with TravelPerk. And as a result of that, you can also organize, all your travel management. So, for example, the platform offers tools to track expenses, facilities. It facilitates VAT recovery. So, if you're not familiar with VAT, VAT, especially internationally, there's a tax that you pay, but that tax is really for people that are residents and of that specific country. So in theory, when you travel, if you keep that receipt, you can go to the airport and reclaim your taxes. With TravelPerk, it makes this process very easy. Because if you ever had to do that, and we did this a couple of times, especially when I go overseas and buy a high ticket item, I'm going to go ahead and reclaim my taxes. Or if I'm staying overseas for an extended period of time. So, for example, last year, I don't know if it was last year or 2 years, no, it was 2 years ago, I traveled to Europe with my son and his girlfriend, and we stayed for 3 weeks. During that time, in those 3 weeks, I paid a lot of VAT taxes on restaurants and stays and purchases, right? But my son's girlfriend at the time also purchased a customized Louis Vuitton bag. I think it was Louis or Gucci. I can't remember now, but it was, I'm pretty sure it was Louis. We bought it when we went to Italy. It was a very expensive purse. So we took all our receipts, took the receipts specifically of that, went, when we got to the airport, waited into the very long line that they had to reclaim our taxes. Now, again, this is a very important tool that TravelPerk has, because it facilitates that, makes that process a lot easier. The next thing that's very important with TravelPerk is that you're going to have a dedicated support staff. So, for example, if you're traveling overseas or traveling, period, for business, and you book your reservation through TravelPerk, let's say, for example, you're getting ready to board your flight and you realize that you either forgot your ID or your passport, or your wallet, like it's happened to me many times. Instead of missing the flight, you can now call TravelPerk, and they will, while you're going back to get your wallet or passport, whatever it is, they will rebook your flight to the next flight, and you don't have to worry about that either because they will take care of it. Big plus. Now, as a short-term rental operator, why is this story important? Why did I pick this story? And I'm going to tell you specifically why. Because I look at, I ask myself, why are venture capitalists and people investing heavily on this specific company? And I firmly believe that the reason why is because business travel is back. Business travel was, because of the pandemic and because of remote work, really died down a lot. And that the market share for business travelers died down. But we're seeing a big rebound in business travel. And this, for me, is evidence that I am not the only one that thinks business travel it has rebounded and is going to exceed in the future. Remote work, if you're not aware or not staying abreast on this, remote work and remote workers are really dying down. Companies are demanding that you go back to the office. If you're following the news here in the US, what did President Trump do? He sent out a memo to all federal employees, come back to the office or get fired or quit, one or the other. They want you back in the office. A lot of companies are doing the same thing. X now, Elon Musk did the same thing. Get back to the office. A lot of major companies are doing the same thing. You need to come back to the office. Some are created a little bit of a hybrid model where you have to go to the office a couple of times a week, and the other times you can work from home. But remote work is really slowing down. But what's taking its place is business travel. It is rebounding quickly. So as a short-term rental operator, please take advantage of this and make sure that you're offering the amenities that business travelers want, like high-speed Wi-Fi, like a workstation, like a washer and dryer, as I mentioned, right? These are things that business travelers are looking for. And like I said, these are things that I firmly believe you can take advantage of. Now, let's move on to the next story. And that's going to be airport lounges. This used to be a huge perk in the past because of its exclusivity. It used to be very exclusive to travelers, not so much today. And in fact, as a person that travels a lot and uses lounges a lot, they have become super crowded. For example, the business or the lounge in Madrid, which is for me first of all, it's one of the largest lounges that I've seen. I've seen in airports. It often gets booked completely. And if you're not holding a business class flight, chances are you're going to be either waiting to get in, or you may not get in altogether because there may not be the availability. Now, airlines and airports are realizing that this is a big challenge. It's a big issue for them. So a lot of them are either renovating and expanding what they currently have, or they're opening new lounges. It's going to take time for this to take effect, but for those of you that are looking to get a credit card or buy because I'm a Priority Pass owner, you may want to think again in the short term. And the reason I say that is because I'm telling you, right now, it's going to take a little bit for these airlines and these airports to catch up for the demand for these lounges. I'll give you another example. I was traveling out of not Madrid. I was traveling out of Medellin, Colombia. Had a very long layover, and the lounge was so packed. It was uncomfortable. Now in Medellin, if you own the Priority Pass, they have a separate section that you pay. I think it's $25 is what I paid, and then you get a little private room. You can take a nap. You can do some work. It's up to 4 hours you can be in there. You don't get the food and all the other stuff that you get in an actual lounge, but at least you get a little private area while you wait for your flight. But that is coming, people. So just be aware of that. Now, let's talk about saving you money. As a travel agency, one of the biggest perks that you get when you work with either a travel advisor or a travel agency like us is the ability to save time and money. Everybody's heard the saying that time is money, and that is so true, specifically when it relates to travel and also to finding the best deals available. So if you're planning your spring break travel or summer vacation, I'm going to give you some options as to where to go and how to find these deals. Number one, let's talk about spring break. It is late for you guys to take advantage of advanced booking for spring break, but you can still take advantage of some savings, and in some cases up to 39% if your travel is a little flexible, meaning if you can book travel for midweek, so like a Tuesday, like a Wednesday, and sometimes Thursday, there are some huge savings in flights. And again, sometimes up to 39% when doing so. Also, if you're using some of these travel budget airlines like Alliance, Frontier, Spirit, then becoming a member of those airlines will also save you some big dollars. So for example, right now you can fly out of Fort Lauderdale to North Carolina. For sure, North Carolina, there's Atlanta, and Alliant for $39. Spirit, you can fly to Punta Cana, Cancun, and Medellin, Colombia for $89 round trip if you're a member. So there's still some savings, but you're not going to get the savings that you will get like what I'm about to talk about, which is summer vacation travels. If you're looking for summer vacation travels, this is the month to do so. And this is the time to do so because you can get advantage of early or advanced bookings, right? Highly recommend, again, work with a travel advisor, but if you're not working with a travel advisor and you're a DIY traveler, then I highly recommend you get on some of these OTA platforms that you can set up a price alert for a particular area you want to go to, and then check to see what the prices are so that you can get the best available flights at the best available price for that. The same thing applies for rentals or hotels, right? Now, again, spring break, too late. For example, for us, if you're planning to book any of our properties for spring break, number one, there's slim inventory right now because we're booked, and we have over 3,200 properties, domestically and internationally. A lot of them are already booked spring break. So from that aspect, you're not going to see huge savings. But if you find a property, or if you want to go to a specific area, highly recommend that you contact myself or someone like me. Reach out to them, send them an email, tell them what your plans are, and they will definitely work with you. We will definitely work with you and tell you, hey, this is what we have available, and we'll send you that. Or, like I said, shoot an email to my travel advisors, and they'll take care of it. Here's the deal. A lot of people are like, oh, I can do the work myself, or it's some travel advisors, they think it costs them a lot of money to use a travel advisor. Well, here's the fact. It doesn't. And the amount of money you're going to save far outweighs any fees they have. For example, I don't know other travel agencies, but we have a $25 administrative fee. That's the only fee we charge you. Everything else we get from the actual vendor themselves. So, for example, if you get a plane ticket, we're going to get our commissions comes from the airline. If you get a hotel, our commission comes from the hotel. If you book a property, our commissions come from the property themselves. So you're not paying that. All you're paying is a $25 service fee. But again, the amount of money you're going to save, it is substantial. I've done videos on that. I highly recommend you look to see if you want to know exactly how much you're going to save. But sometimes, depending on your length of stay, it's in the hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, depending on your length of stay. And if you book an actual package, I talk about booking bundles. That's another big way to save. And we're not the only ones doing it. You have Expedia, which I'm a big fan of. They also will give you booking bundles. If you book a flight and a hotel and a car with them, you're going to get big savings if you do that as well. All right. Any questions on that? Just DM me and we'll talk about it. Let's move on to the next. Oh, I forgot to mention this. Now, and I knew this, but I didn't know how good it was. If you are a Costco member, Costco has extensive travel perks for members. I recommend you look at Costco. If you don't, again, Costco is a travel agency. That's why they can offer you give you these. Excuse me. They became a vertical. They added travel agencies to their vertical plan or vertically to their business. But they have some great perks. I found some great cruises on there. Highly recommend you look at them. Let me see if I got anything else. Oh, let's talk about destinations. Okay, every STR News podcast that I do, I want to give people options of where to travel that are not the norm, right? not options like Madrid, Paris, Rome, New York City, Miami. Those are all great places to visit, but in my opinion, are all super played out. Highly recommend you look at other destinations that are cheaper, just as nice, and it'll give you an experience that a lot of people don't have because they don't really know about them, right? So today I'm going to give you actually 4 places, and the fourth I talk about a lot, but the reason I'm going to mention it again is because of the strong dollar. If you don't follow the dollar, I recommend you do that, because for travelers, the strength of the dollar really dictates how much you're going to pay when you go to a specific destination. I really study the dollar. I get notifications when the dollar's up or when the dollar's down, because it really dictates on where I'm going to travel. As I mentioned before, every May for the last several years, I spent in Europe. And I look to see how the dollar is doing in comparison to the euro, right? And oftentimes the euro, to go there, it's a little bit more expensive for us because the euro is oftentimes a little bit more valuable than the dollar. Or the exchange rate, there's a negative discrepancy in the exchange rate. But right now, the dollar's super strong. Right now, I highly recommend that you go to the following 4 places. Canada. The Canada currency is down and the dollar is up. So there's a strong exchange rate in Canada. If you want to go to Victoria, British Columbia, which is a place that I visited recently, and it's beautiful, highly recommend you do that. If you want to go to a big city, go to Toronto, highly recommend you do that. Canada has a lot of, especially if you like the outdoors, like I do. I love the outdoors. I love spending time outside, visiting nature. And Canada is one of those places that is extremely beautiful. Highly recommend you especially in the summer, highly recommend that you look at Canada as an option. Next is going to be Turkey. Turkey it's in a very affordable destination. It is surprisingly beautiful. They have some beautiful beaches in Turkey. Again, for years, I never even considered Turkey, but I'm here to tell you that Turkey is a great place. And right now, there are some very affordable, all-inclusive resorts in Turkey that are really first class. Highly recommend you look at Turkey if you want to go to someplace new, someplace unique, where your dollar is going to go a long, long way. Next one is probably going to be a shocker. I was looking at the numbers again because of the dollar being strong. Now it's the euro, but Tuscany, Italy is surprisingly affordable and budget friendly this year, right? Highly recommend you. Tuscany is one of my favorite locations in all of Italy. There's so much to do, so much to see. There's a lot of beautiful wineries. If you like wine, especially Tuscany wine, you have to visit there. And right now, there's a lot of your dollar is going to extend a long way right now if you go to Tuscany. Now, the last destination I'm going to talk about, and I've talked about it countless times, I've done countless videos, and that's going to be Colombia. And again, the main reason why I'm saying Colombia, it's not just because of its beauty, but because the peso's down and the dollar's super high. So you can definitely, a dinner at one of the most expensive restaurants in Medellin will cost you no more than $25 a person. That's including your drinks, your dessert, and that is some of the finest restaurants in Medellin. Really, really recommend it. Again, right now we have a deal for Medellin. If you want to go there for $160 a day, you will get a dedicated driver, a driver that also serves as a guide. Our drivers are very well versed in everything Colombia. They're going to be able to tell you and show you and tell you where to go. If you like trending stuff, they're going to send you there. If you like to be among, El Poblado, El Tesoro, Parquelleras, they'll take you there. But if you also like to visit and go places on the outskirts that a lot of people don't go to, then I recommend you go ahead and let the guide know, because he will take you to places that most people are not familiar with, that are extremely beautiful. It'll allow you to immerse yourself in the Colombian culture, taste and eat some phenomenal food, drinks for pennies on the dollar. Well, my beautiful people, that's going to be it for today. Hope it was useful. If it was, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Follow me on Instagram. Love you guys, and I'll see you next week.